What about politicians? Do they have to come in here? Because this is the maybe indirect consequence of what we do to ourselves when we play politics with some of these developmental issues. Because some states tell you, come and register and get data, be registered in a state. People read political meanings into all of those. Funds are allocated, read meanings into everything. But now, politicians also have got to sit up and ensure that some of this legislation actually go through.
Really, Nigeria, if you look at even this problem of insurgency that is becoming intractable to the point where we are beginning to understand that the army is almost not properly equipped to handle something that we thought was a minor insurgency from a small group. There is the issue of our divided nationalities. You cannot take away the fact there are people who have sympathy for Boko Haram. You cannot take away the fact that there are people, if you remember when Kabiru Sokoto was arrested, he was arrested in Borno State Lodge in Abuja. You don't get into Borno State Lodge, no matter the fact that you are from Borno State. So there are sympathies. Our nation is a large country, very different nationalities, very large groups. And some of these groups' aspirations are divergent from each other. If you listen to the conference, you see it. And so to deal with some of these problems requires political will. One, very important. And there must be honesty and sincerity. The laws, the police themselves must apply the law. The justice system must apply, because that's the only way Nigeria can develop patriotic citizenship. If not, people's allegiance will be to their ethnicities, and you have insurgents like this who are protected by the community. Like the man is saying today, it is possible that these girls have been assimilated back into the communities and hidden within our communities, because people feel that this is right. When Oguche was arrested, there's something I read in the paper where he said that the enemies of Allah should be injured and killed. Now that's somebody who feels he's doing something holy. That's somebody who feels he's serving the cause of his God. But now, that is not true, because when you listen to other Islamic clerics talking, they say this cannot be of God. It therefore means that there are people who are indoctrinating the youth with violent Islam. And so government needs to be strong to go into the teachings of the Ummah, the Islamic Ummah. They must find out those who are teaching heresy, who are teaching hate. This is happening. And this is one of the reasons why I've been very worried about the establishment of purely Islamic Almajiri schools. Because in Pakistan, it was in those kinds of schools that insurgency was bred. Because there you see, there are all kinds of people.
Yeah, but the thing about all kinds of things. I mean, yes, some will say that it should be expected across all faiths that those kind of things will happen. But where they are surprised is they ask themselves, are we learning from some of these things? Because yes, I mean, later NSA did tell us these things caught us unawares, and some people have talked about how we are responding to all of this, speaking to our capacity. Yes, we may have challenges, but the big question is, are we learning from some of these things to the extent that we will now approach them headlong and solve those problems without politicizing anything?
That's easy. To say whether we are learning or not depends on what you are looking for. If my intent is to be president, or if my intent is to get an advantage over you, no matter how well you do, no matter what you do, I will do my best to discredit you. Now, that's one of the issues that makes me believe that there are political angles to this insurgency. Okay? But be that as it may, we need to, as much as possible, reach out, especially to northern leaders, to the northern traditional institution, to the Islamic Ummah. We need to reach out to them, for them to, the Lamido of Adamawa said, my kingdom extends into Cameroon. That means, as far as the Lamido of Adamawa is concerned, a Cameroonian from the Lamido's kingdom can cross into Nigeria and go back as he pleases.
No,
I'm coming. Just hear me. This man, as a traditional ruler, believes my state goes beyond Nigeria. Okay? Now, if therefore there is an interest of people who are part of his people, but who that interest is against interests of Nigeria, he would feel morally bound to be either neutral or sympathetic to those people. And so to solve this problem we have, sincerely, I believe...
but remember, for just respect to that point, if you're Nigerian, you're Nigerian. If you're Cameroonian, you're Cameroonian. And that's why there's a boundary.
Good.
And the president said about in that meeting, you have to respect boundaries. So are you assuming that anyone crossing those borders will not respect those boundaries or the international regulations?
At the constitutional conference that we are talking about, Nigerians are talking about diaspora voting. One of the issues that has killed diaspora voting is because you have people in Niger who have people in Nigeria. It's almost as if you divided a village. You know, the boundaries of Africa were not drawn by Africans. And so communities were divided by Europeans, creating countries where you have... The people of Bakassi in Cameroon are the same people in Calabar in Nigeria, in Akwa Ibom or whatever in this place. So you have people across these borders like that. But yes, those on this side are Nigerians, and those on that side are now Cameroonians or Niger people or Chad and all of that. But still, this ethnic love and oneness is creating a problem. That's why I said that we need to reach out.
Isn't it what we do to ourselves if we put all of those issues above nationhood? Are we drawing the line between politics or ethnicity? Where does it start? Where does it stop? Where does governance, where does nationhood come in?
You see, Nigeria, we have a serious issue to deal with, and this is one of them. We must reach out to people. We must make people understand that, yes, we were together. But as it is today, boundaries have been drawn.
We still are.
No, boundaries have been drawn. And so the Fulani man in Chad is a Chadian, is not a Nigerian. Do you understand me? We must reach out to our people. They must agree that this is how it is, so that we can define Nigeria, except we are not going to build a fence across those borders. Now, and that's why, in fact, one of the things that the Constitutional Conference is putting across before they would accept diaspora voting is that there must, first of all, be national identification system, a proper national identity, so that you know the Nigerians. Not just that somebody walks across the border, enters Nigeria, becomes a Nigerian. If you remember, there was the man in 1983 or so, Shugaba or so, who was supposed to have won the senatorial elections or so in Adamawa State, but because of citizenship, he was found to have been a Cameroonian who just crossed over because they have the same affinity. This is a real fact. And these are some of the things that is helping fuel this. We are a nation evolving. Our leader should not ignore that. And you should reach out. The police should be a Nigerian police.
Are they not?
You listen, yesterday or day before yesterday, we heard that soldiers almost mutinied. You remember? Now, something happened. They felt that the leadership, at least if for no one else, for that company or whatever, compromised them. And that's why they almost mutinied.
But again, I think I go back to the issue of security and checkpoints and all that. But you know, there's always a first cause in all of this, and which has to do with the borders. You really can't bring arms from the sky. They must come through our ports or the borders.
Yes.
So that should have been a place or an area that we should focus more on.
You see, there was something I read. There was one custom paper I read. I can't remember the name, last year. And that paper, there was a report in that paper about the fact there are certain containers that are taken through customs, more or less on priority list. They are not even open for check. Now, we cannot say for 100% that everybody in customs is doing his job. That these people do not have people who are sympathetic to them in customs, in the police, in the army. And as a result of that, first of all, there should be a policy that all kinds of priority container clearance at this point in time be cancelled. Any container that comes in the country must be opened, and at the toll points across the country, there should be effective checkpoints of all moving vehicles, because people are moving arms. Even as we go towards 2015, forget the issue of moving arms because of Boko Haram and all that. Politics itself, all the papers are full of the fact that a lot of political leaders in their different turfs are arming their supporters. We need to go out for it, and that's why another thing that I feel, I don't know, you might not be, but I feel so. I feel that Nigeria is large enough for us to. I don't feel comfortable in a situation where the IG is a Fulani Muslim, the National Security Advisor is a Fulani Muslim, the Minister of Defense is a Fulani Muslim. I don't feel comfortable with that, especially for the fact that the major people behind Boko Haram, that is the insurgents actually, are, or most of those you see, are Muslims, Northerners.
But aren't they the next qualified persons to occupy that position? Isn't that the way many people see that?
See. In strategic planning for security and power, you disperse. Even for anti-corruption issues.
But you do not if you jump the next
people.
Qualified person, you also stir up a lot of sentiments.
I don't know about those are some of the issues we have, problems we have in this country. We must look at strategic interests. We must do things properly. I believe that I don't like that. It doesn't work for me, because I believe that, especially for the IG, it should be either a middle belt Christian or a core northern Christian, because they are the ones at the receiving end of the majority of Boko. Though everybody is beginning to receive now, both Muslims, Christians, and all that.